Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Interact podcast. My name is Josh Haynam, co-founder and CEO at Interact. Today, I'm joined by Jamie C., business mentor and nervous system safe business strategist or mentor, however you want to say it. We'll get into it. You have a really cool quiz. I just took it again, and on
Thank
my
you.
own content creation journey, it's been helpful to me. I know it's been helpful to a lot of people. So
Yes.
if you want to frame that up for us and tell us about it to
Yeah.
start off, that'd be awesome.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit about the quiz itself is it's formatted for a specific type of entrepreneur who is generally guessing a little bit more in the type of content they should be creating, and there's just this sense of I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. I really feel like there's this kind of endless rule book of the way that I'm supposed to create and market myself online. And the approach that we take with the quiz is to allow them to understand that not everyone is meant to create content the same way. Not everyone is meant to kind of just create equally. And this allows for them to understand the way that they're kind of naturally meant to create content. And we kind of go more towards the process of uh, four different types of archetypes. Visibility archetypes is what I call it. And we navigate the process of understanding which category they fall into most. Generally, they're a fusion, but we show them just mainly their most dominant one and how that affects them showing up online, the types of content that they're kind of more geared to feel more natural creating. And then we dive into more of the visibility aspect, which is all nervous system on being seen and kind of the nervous system approach to that process when marketing your business online.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, thank
Where
you.
did it come from? Like, were people asking you for this type of help, or where did the idea, the concept
Yeah.
for the quiz come from?
So within my company, we support entrepreneurs we have a pretty amazing ascension plan for clients. So they'll enter into my world. They're existing online business owners or entrepreneurs or any type of marketing, whether you're marketing, services, products, uh, or online offers of that nature. And what we find historically, because we take more of a nervous system safe approach, which is we care about the person and also the strategy. So a lot of times when you're just marketing your business, you're really focused on just the strategy aspect, but that's really only running 5% of your business success, monetary success, client overall success. If you don't have the capacity to feel safe being seen, visibility, especially visibility in terms of marketing your business, because you know there's this level of you have the capacity to reach a lot of people in the digital space, right? So if you don't have the capacity for that or you don't understand how that's affecting you, you essentially will kind of create a lot of force and pressure, kind of resulting more towards um, nervous system dysregulation. So you'll probably procrastinate or you'll overthink or you'll do all of these types of things. So, yes, we want to be able to support our clients in the marketing aspect, but not in a way that we've traditionally been taught.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah,
kind of where and that frames into my membership, the broadcast room, where we support them with the whole framework of the archetype, creating from your archetype, nervous system response to visibility, the whole nine yards.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm curious. Speaking of strategy versus nervous system, let's cover the strategy real quick
Yes,
and then get into
love
the
it.
other stuff, which is the meat. Strategy wise, real quick, what's the flow look like? How do people find
Mhm.
your quiz? What's the
Yeah.
follow up afterwards? What's the lead gen process?
Yeah, so great question. So the process right now is they find me through organic content through either my YouTube and the Jamie C Show, which is a YouTube recorded YouTube show, and also on anywhere podcasts are streamed. Also through organic marketing from TikTok to Instagram, and there's a call to action that we use, and they go and they can opt in for the quiz also through my Instagram stories. So there's a lot of different ways. We also are building out a new campaign for paid traffic through Google and also through Meta. And so it'll kind of amplify. We generally, well, I take the approach of making sure that it's converting organically before I put any paid traffic behind it, just because it's like, let me refine it until it's working at the conversion rate that I want it to, and then we'll just get it into the right people's hands. So when people get to this type of quiz, they go ahead, they're brought to a landing page, and then they go through the quiz. The quiz is embedded on the landing page, and they're able to kind of navigate specific questions, and then they are brought to a results page. That results page is connected to just a very beautiful nurture and invitation per their archetype on getting them into the obviously membership if it feels aligned from that space.
Yeah.
So right now we have almost 14,000 people have opted in for that quiz so far. Yeah, it's been great. It's been awesome.
That's pretty good results. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good
been
results.
great. It's been
How long
awesome.
has it been running?
Oh, 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Two
that
months, I would
seems
say. Yeah.
great. I guess like you don't have to share anything you don't want to share, but like how does that compare to like other lead magnets and things that you've run? Because that
Well,
sounds pretty great.
I would say quizzes are so much more fun, anyways. I mean,
True.
like, I mean, especially because, I mean, quizzes are fun, mainly because who doesn't love a quiz? And then also, it gives you the ability to customize the process versus just giving a standalone PDF or, a standalone workshop. You get to customize the experience to that specific person. So every single results page is customized to that specific outcome, and so are the email sequences and the follow-up sequences and retargeting and that whole thing. So it really is a great way of segmenting and really speaking directly to a result versus just getting somebody into a standalone one results process. So I love it that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go over to the nervous system side because something that you
Sure.
said there about dysregulation leading to procrastination or
Hmm.
overthinking, a variety of other
Yeah.
things. I see this, and I'm going to frame up this question for you because I'm curious your perspective. Uh,
Cool.
I've seen a lot of people not make the transition to the social world. So
Hmm.
you just mentioned a few different channels for you: podcast, YouTube, Instagram,
Hmm.
TikTok. I've seen a lot of people just not make that switch. They were reliant on Google traffic, which has gone away almost entirely for most people,
Hmm.
and they just didn't make the switch, so they don't run a business anymore, and it's a real
Hmm.
bummer. I worked with a lot of
That's
these
so
people
sad.
for 10 plus years. So it seems like that dovetails exactly into what you're talking about because I think the only reason they didn't is because it was too anxiety ridden. It was too
Yeah.
difficult. It was all emotional. The
Hmm.
skills are there. Um, how do you speak to that audience?
So I think that there's a few layers here to that. I think that often, I mean, just historically with just the way that humans operate in general, I think that's just important. Like, there's nothing wrong with anyone experiencing anything. I think it's the most normal human experience to when you're about to learn something new. It's just you think about it like I have two kids, right? So like we're teaching them how to ride a bike or tie their shoes, right? There's a different part of the brain that's working when you're trying to learn something new, and have to kind of face your relationship with being a beginner at something. And it also kind of fights up against any kind of belief system that you have around your relationship with tech or your relationship with things being difficult, or your level of adaptability and your level of being able to recognize maybe I'm just going to have to walk through this a little bit more slower, or find a person or mentor that's more aligned with the way that the things that I need. So there's nothing wrong with anyone navigating that kind of process of learning something new. So there's just like the beginner aspect, and also just when you're learning something new, it brings up weird shit in your body. It's just part of the process, right? I mean, when I was trying to learn drums, like it was like everything is firing all at once. Every single cylinder of your brain, you're just trying to figure all these things. So if you have this kind of pressure on yourself already, pressure and judgment are the two biggest factors when you're entering anything that'll create nervous system dysregulation. And I see it historically because I work with a lot of high achieving entrepreneurs who have really big missions, like they want the multi-million dollar companies and the being on stages and all the things. And there's this level with entrepreneurs, there's a level of pressure and judgment. Those two things will create the dysregulation in your body, which will either go to like fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And they all look different. They all respond different in the body, which I can get into in a moment. But essentially, when you have this kind of underlying pressure of, I have to show up a certain way, I have to post a certain way, I have to make sales from this. There's like the also the pressure to perform and to become profitable, and also the judgment aspect of like, maybe I don't like the way that I look, or maybe I don't like the way that I talk, or do I have to show up a certain way, and I have to, all these kind of rules of maybe the self-judgment aspect. But wherever we're judging ourselves internally is where we're afraid of anyone judging us externally. um so those are the two pieces that I see from a nervous system space of kind of entering into a new thing. And then also, just one last thing on that, I will say that especially when people are in my broadcast room, my membership, where we support people with the visibility and then also marketing and selling in a way that feels aligned and of service, instead of like this manipulative marketing or bro marketing or anything like that, that just does not sit and align well with most of my clients. It's this idea of, when I am showing up, when I'm doing these things, they have to look a certain way, be a certain way, act a certain way. And then there's this process of just massive dysregulation in the body when we have the idea of being seen in front of potentially millions of people. Because I'll ask people all the time, it's like, oh, like, how do you feel about sitting in a room full of a million people? They're like, terrified, horrified, don't do that. I go, okay, so let's just pretend like we're creating for one person. There's literally just creating with one person right in front of you. And that's it. And we just, we are a tribe mentality, and we don't, it's a lot of visibility, and it can feel a little dangerous for a lot of people. So I will say that those are the biggest pieces for sure.
So something that you said in there stood out to me, because because the picture that I'm getting from you is like, you don't need to think about, not that you don't need to think about, but you don't need to focus so much on showing up exactly a certain way, or it needs to be exactly in this packaging, or else it's not
Mhm.
going to work for you or whatever. How do you balance that against conversion in terms of making the time worthwhile? Because if you are a
Yep.
business owner, like a lot of our audience is, every hour of your day is worth a certain amount of money,
Mhm.
right? And if you're spending that hour creating content, at some point you do need it to lead to money coming back.
Absolutely.
Otherwise you'd spend your time doing something else,
Then
right?
you just wouldn't have a business.
Yeah, right, like
Let's
it's
just
just
call it
not
what
gonna
it is.
work. That's how it works.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So obviously we care about both, and when we think about the two percentages of 5% being your strategy, 95% being the energetics behind the human, right? The beliefs of that person, the what fears or dysregulation they have around being seen or making money or performance or any of that type of stuff. Like, when you only focus on the strategy aspect, it doesn't really, because two people could be standing in front of me. One could be fine with being in front of millions, believe in their gift, believe in their service, feel comfortable selling, don't feel icky, sticky, whatever. And they also have the capacity to maybe sell high ticket and not just feel of service, right? Then you have the strategy. The strategy is only going to come to life and really truly work when the person behind it is igniting it. Now you have the other person who is, I don't feel comfortable being seen. I don't feel comfortable, sharing or selling or any of the things, right? Same exact strategy is going to fall flat, because generally with nervous system dysregulation, it shows up in the way that they market. It shows up in their messaging specifically. One of the biggest things that and anyone that's listening for this, specifically for your audience, the messaging that is generally tied to nervous system dysregulation, it's very vague messaging, and it really speaks to everyone, because there is this fear of, if I speak to a specific person, a specific avatar, customer per se, then I'm actually closing the door to work with more people. So it's also rooted in scarcity. And then when you speak to everyone, you speak to nobody. So there's that aspect. So when we're thinking about conversion, you got to take the two things into consideration. So obviously there's the conversion factor of messaging and marketing and sales. When it comes to that, right, you want to make sure that you actually have a strategy that, number one, feels sustainable, that you're not putting a shit ton of pressure on yourself, and that you're willing to be able to get to a place where you can look at the analytics, you're able to look at the data without you making it mean something about you, and then just going into a spiral. Because if you're constantly just trying to grow your business in pressure and judgment and force, when you reach your specific goal and things start converting, if you're always constantly in the distance of the goal, and always wanting and trying to push and pressurize, even when you get to the goal, it doesn't feel like you can actually enjoy it. And then you're like constantly moving the goalpost of like, oh, maybe I'll feel good at this next one. But then you just like never feel good.
Yeah, I mean that's
Just
absolutely
like
true.
historically, I mean, that's the main reason why I have this company, because I had $2 million companies prior to this one, which is now 8 figures in 2.5 years. And it's all nervous system based, because I had the exact process of not having a single clue about any of the mental processes and all of that, and just burnt myself out.
100%. I mean, I
Hmm.
resonate with that. How long were you
Yeah.
running those two other businesses?
I was running those for 6 years.
Okay, yeah,
Six
yeah, that
years.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then I had more of like a micro business prior to that. So I was a hairstylist originally, and then went on my own renting a chair. It was just a solo operation. So that was about 4 years, and then opened a full-fledged $1 million salon, education company, global team, the whole thing. Um, and I had everything that you would consider success on paper, but just burns you out, and then you just want to burn your business down.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I think it's one of those actors. It's like I wish everyone could be rich, because then you realize that it's not going to answer your problems.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're saying, and it
Yeah.
resonates with me a lot. I mean, we're
Mm-hmm.
12 years into running this company, and it's like if
Mm-hmm.
you just keep moving the goalpost back, and that's the only thing that lights you up, then the light up
Yeah.
parts are very short,
Yes,
and
they
the
are,
rest
for
of it
sure.
is not fun.
1000%. 1000%.
I wanted to dive into energetics, if you're cool
Sure.
with going down that route, because I think that that's a term that gets like kind of bungled a lot, but
Hmm.
it does to me seem like the problem that a lot of our audience faces. They
Hmm.
don't operate out of what energizes them. They operate out of what they're supposed to do, or what they think is going to get them the results that they think they want, and they don't actually create from a place of like what's inside of them. So what perspective do you have on identifying your like what energizes you? Because I think that's honestly where a lot of people get stuck. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't even know, like I'm just trying to make money, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
rough.
So great question. So the first thing I'll start with is exactly what energetics is. So I specialize in something that I coined as like wealth energetics. And essentially, because I work on not just like the visibility aspect, but wealth expansion. So being able to prepare your body and your mind to be in alignment with your goals, dreams, and desires. Because that same um, two percentages that I shared before, like the 5%, 95%, that the same runs true for your subconscious. So your goals, the I want to make money, I want to open my business, I want to do, that's running 5% of the show. Underneath the subconscious, all of your identity, your past programming, every single story that you've ever been told about money and success and what makes you important and all of the things. Will you be accepted when you get all that business success and all the things, and what money actually means to you? So essentially, all of that is living unconsciously, which we're not generally aware of. So what generally happens is the act of wealth energetics and energetics in itself is aligning those two, so that you can operate from the identity of somebody who is aligned with those goals, who does feel in that creation space and isn't fighting up against the undercurrent that's happening. So essentially, if you have any kind of belief or identity that is not congruent with your big dreams, goals, and desires, it's going to show up behaviorally. And that's really the number one thing. So you'll find yourself working endless hours. When you slow down, you'll probably feel the sense of urgency, or like the other shoe's going to drop. Or, and then even when you get the success, there's this feeling of, was it like, almost like I jinxed myself. Like, could it actually be this good? Could it be this good? So then we end up, you hear the term like self sabotage all the time, but that's really just your identity, nervous system, and subconscious, which is just responsible for keeping you exactly as you are, just bringing you back to what baseline has been programmed as. So when you're taking the standpoint of like, okay, so I have these dreams, goals, and desires, and I'm operating from just the 5%, you're going to hustle, you're going to grind, you're going to constantly make decisions from your brain and never from a different part of your body. Because a lot of times people are, if you're, do you know anything about human design? It's okay if you don't, but
Yeah.
yeah. So obviously human design, you have your authority in human design, which is the way that you naturally make decisions. So if, for me, I'm a splenic projector, 5-1, and splenic, it means I make decisions from my intuition. So if I'm constantly in the hustle and the grind and always in the thought processes, I'm only making decisions out of scarcity, fear, and pressurized energy, which never feels good. And I never really know if it's actually the decision that's going to move the needle forward, or if it's aligned for me or my business. If I make a decision from my intuition and I know how to listen to my body, then that's the right move. That's where I need to go. That's where generally the most energy is going to be, the most alignment is going to be, and then also the most profitability, because money just meets where alignment is.
Yeah, and the thing that so I've had a lot of conversations recently with people because social and particularly Instagram Reels and TikTok seem to be the number one place where you can start getting discovered these
Yes.
days. And those are the places where everything we're talking about is like the hardest because it's
Mm-hmm.
like 90 seconds and it might be shown to a bunch of people. Your
Mm-hmm.
friends might see it, all that kind of stuff, right? And this piece that I keep getting stuck on with our clients is like, hey, I can talk you through all the logistics of creating a great quiz funnel, how that works. But then there's this other part, which is like, I call it the it factor, where it's like, can you draw people in? And as
Mm-hmm.
you're talking, it's giving words to what I think I've been calling the it factor. It's like, are you drawing from a place where you have a lot of energy? Because that's going to come through. Is it showing up in a way that's like actually true to who you are? Because that's going to come through. And all those things create, this kind of feels like an outdated term now, but like the attraction of like an audience. It's really just like, do people stop scrolling to watch your stuff? Because like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the game these days. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's where it all starts. Um, have you talked to people about that specifically? Like coming into your own, or I don't know the right way to say it
Mm-hmm.
other than like the it factor, like how all this stuff that you're describing rolls up to, so then this is how you can show up in the world that's both true to who you are and also helps you stop the scroll and attract an
Mm-hmm.
audience.
Yeah, 1000%. Well, that's a lot of what my actual quiz, but it actually tied in beautifully. Great job.
Thank you.
So essentially, the process of, let's just say, I'm going to take two separate people, right? So let's just say we have somebody who is maybe more artistic, poetic, really is drawn to curating these experiences for people. Like they're very intentional with, like, they're the storytellers. Like there's something really beautiful about the way that they present themselves, right? If they go into the traditional marketing world, they're going to say, you need to have this hook, you need to have this edit, you need to have this kind of thing. And this, like, what performs the best, which may feel very performative, fake, out of alignment for them. And then they're going to try to do something that's against the way they're naturally meant to create, which is the poetic, the storytelling. Maybe they're even into like the cinematic artistry aspect, the ones that really want to bring you in through something, like that type of situation. If you take that person who's naturally meant to create and then you throw them in the marketing world and they're like, okay, like just go create content like that, they're like, I hate this. It feels awful. And then I don't want to do it. So then, because it doesn't feel good for them and they think that what they want to do is wrong because the rule book. You have to have it this way. You have to have it this way. You have to have a beautiful setup. You have to have the most incredible thing. You have to have the mic. You have to have all of that. And they're just like, help. I don't want to do it that way. But if you're told, right, let's just say you're a beginner in your marketing and you're just looking for someone to tell you what to do to get the results that you want, that's going to throw that person out of alignment. They're going to show up and get half the results that they would ever get because they're not going to be magnetized. They're not going to feel good when they're creating content. And that's the frequency that they're admitting, is that they actually hate this and they feel really uncomfortable and they feel forced and they're going to be in nervous system dysregulation and most likely not show up. So
And that,
then you take that person and you give them the marketing, like, because the truth is like there's the aspect that there's so many different types of marketing out there and ways to draw attention that is in alignment with the way that that person is supposed to create content, the way that they are as a brand, the way that they are as a human, right? And then you take another person who's like, I'm like, we call them the fire starters. They're the ones that generally we're always told that they're too loud or too much, but they're like, I want to, they're like the hot takes. They want to call shit out in industries that like that they hate, right? That they're like, no, this isn't the way that you need to do it. They're the ones that are like, okay, you have to have this hook, and then you have to have hooks are great, but again, you have to have this certain kind of hook, and then you have to have this kind of thing. And they're like, but I want to riff, like I want to like pick up my camera and just fucking go, right? And that there's the you got to find the way that you're naturally meant to create, and then also be like, take it to the next level. You know how you're meant to create. Do you feel okay selling? Do you feel okay marketing? Because I always say entrepreneurship is personal development on crack, but marketing your business is personal development on crack, because there's a whole bunch of layers to that cake. Selling, being seen, visibility, all the things, right? So when you are creating content, there's not just there's formats that are going to historically get you more visibility, but if you put that format with the way that you naturally are, and you're like, I'm good being seen, I got shit to say, I feel good selling, I believe in my gifts, I believe in my product, that's going to translate into different results no matter what the strategy is.
mm. And I picked up on resonance in there as you're
Mhm.
talking, and I don't know. I'm cool with whatever version of that exists in the world. I'm
Mhm.
not really sure, but like I think that people can tell. I guess that's the simple way of saying it.
Yep.
People can tell if they're watching, and I think that that does change something in the viewer as they're watching it. Like, does this feel forced? Does this feel awkward? And like this person's just showing up out of obligation? Or does this person actually want to say what they're saying? Do they actually believe in it? Does it matter to them? Do they care about what
Mhm.
they're saying? And if they can sense that, then it's going to be more resonant, and that's going to
Yeah.
hold attention, which is the whole attention is the currency, right? It's like the more attention you can get, the more your stuff's going to get showed, the more stuff you get showed, the more people will buy from you. And so it all
Mhm.
starts with that resonance. And the question that I had as you're talking is, so let's say somebody does this, right? They're like, yeah, this feels right. I have a certain way of showing up that feels good for me. I feel energized when I'm creating it. They sit down and they knock out 5 or 6 videos and are like, this is awesome. I feel great. They post them. The results are terrible, or
Mhm.
there's just like nothing, right? Which I'm an old school person, so I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
no, duh. Like back when it was blogging, no one cared
Mhm.
because no one could see that you had 0 views on your blogs. You just kept going and got better at it. But
Mhm.
now everyone sees. And
Mhm.
so I think it turned a lot of people off where they're like, oh, well, my first 5 videos got 2 views and that's embarrassing. What do you say to them?
So I think that this is I love this question, honestly. it kind of goes back to the thing that we had with the judgment, and then also your relationship with being a beginner, because it's like none of us come out of the womb knowing how to market our fucking business. Honestly, like you have to learn, you have to mess up. Your relationship with like being okay making mistakes and like learning from them and getting back up and doing it again is the thing that's going to make you the most successful business owner. Because if you are afraid of making a mistake, afraid of getting it wrong, afraid of these, like how are we going to be able to rebuild that how are we going to build success from that place? Cuz it's going to be messy in the beginning, and sometimes it's messy and then it gets hard, but it's like you got to be able to build the resilience of making a mistake and then being okay making that mistake. And I say the one thing that, and this is what I talk about in both of my programs, Broadcast Room and Currency Academy, which is essentially the wealth energetics. It's all around money and uh, expanding your nervous system to hold and circulate wealth in your business. So essentially, the thing that's going to melt the nervous system dysregulation, the thing that's going to melt away and allow you to take more action is compassion. And a lot of people are like, whatever, compassion. But here's the science around it, because that's I'm a why person. Like, why does compassion do that, right? Because I could say that and be like, be kind to yourself, but it's like, but why does that work? So I want you to imagine two people standing next to each other, and you go ahead and you tell that person, um, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go launch my business, I'm gonna go market. And this person's like, you're gonna fail, you're gonna suck at it, what if it doesn't work? God, you should know better. You should be good at this by now. Why aren't you good at it? Right? How is that going to reflect the way that you show up? Most likely, it's going to create shame and embarrassment, and you're most likely going to hide, give up, walk away. Right? And also, you're probably not going to feel inspired or creative at all. Right? Which is when you create your most magnetic work. If you now have this person standing there and like, I'm going to go launch my thing, and like, oh my God, amazing. And incredible. So no matter what happens, like I got your back. Like I'm going to be there for you. I got, like, when shit gets hard, like don't worry. Like I got your back. You're going to be great. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You're a human. It's fine. Stop making it mean anything about you. You're good. I got you. Like that right there, that separation, like this is now your inner narrative. Inner narrative work will calm the body down by 80% more than any, you know, tapping or breathing. If you just worked on that one thing in your business, just the relationship you have with the way that you talk to yourself, uh, you will feel, you will build resilience. You'll get back up and you'll be like, okay, so what if I got 5 views? Why am I putting so much pressure on myself to get it right now? Why am I forcing myself? There's also this like invisible timer that a lot of new entrepreneurs put on themselves. Is like, I have to get it within this, and if I don't, then it's over. And it's like, what? No, that's not how we build success. You're going to have to make mistakes, and then you're going to have to love yourself through it, get back up, do it again, make more mistakes, love yourself through it until you learn how that mistake has been made. Even if it is a mistake, like see the mistake through just the learning lens. Like it's just data, it's just neutral. Like we're the only ones making it mean something.
Why do people have that invisible timer? Because I see the graveyard of that and it's crazy to me. I'm like, it's 3 months, it's 6 months, it's 2 weeks, whatever it may be. Someone comes on, the
Yep.
content's actually quite good. And you're like, oh, they got up to 50 followers and they made 25 videos, and you could see the progression of the videos getting better. And in my head, I'm like, cool, do that for 3 more years. And there's a very high likelihood that you can have a great business, but you only went 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people do that?
So there's a few different lenses that create that invisible timer. So it also shows up in different ways. So for example, if there's a newer entrepreneur that's creating this, like I'm only going to do it for this amount of time. It's like, it's a protective mechanism. Like they weren't really, I don't think that they were really truly ready, because if you put an invisible timer on a sustain, if you wanted to build a 6-figure 7-figure business and you're only giving yourself 4 weeks to figure that out, that in no way shape or form is that ever going to result in anything, because you're never going to learn anything in 4 weeks. So it really is this like protective mechanism that we create unconsciously to then not go all in, to not experience rejection or to not experience a loss of funds or being judged or anything like that. It really is just this, I'm putting this here. There's that invisible timer, but there also is this invisible timer that people put on this. And that really has a lot to do with just, I'm going to try to simplify this. The invisible timer can feel like pressure. It can feel like urgency, because when there is this, like, I have to get it right, I have to get it now, I have to be there now, it's because you're uncomfortable with the way you're experiencing things in this moment. Because oftentimes, so many entrepreneurs, visionaries, are they have these big dreams, goals, and desires, but then if it they're so used to living in, what I had said this before, living in the distance of the goal. So they're constantly in the wanting, they're constantly in the waiting, they're constantly creating the problems, they're constantly in problem solving mode, so that even when we get there, we don't feel good. And that's why the goalpost keeps moving. But the invisible timer is generally this pressure to move. It's a survival mechanism, right? Because when we're living in survival, which is in the wanting and the waiting and the there's nothing here for me now, there's no abundance, there's only lack, right? That right there, that mindset creates urgency, and that pressure, that invisible timer, is the nervous system saying, hey, stop, 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 stop. And the pressure, it's like pressure to perform, pressure to feel good enough, fresh pressure to like prove. There's a lot of proving energy, especially in entrepreneurs, not historic, not across the board for everybody, but it's almost like, I can prove to you that I can do it, or I can prove to someone else that I can do it, right? There's, for whoever that's sinking in with. And then there's also this process of pressure um, to get funds, so to be profitable fast, like quick cash, quick fix. And that really never creates safety in the body. It'll feel good for like a second until you go right back into the lack and the wanting and the waiting, and there's always an issue and there's always a problem, when that's when no goal feels good enough.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. It puts words to it. I think
Mm-hmm.
those resonate with what I've seen people do
Yeah.
over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the overall kind of synopsis of what you're saying, or what I'm hearing from you, is if you're doing it for proving yourself, if you're doing it just to make money, if you're doing it for any of these goals other than what resonates with yourself, what
Mm-hmm.
actually taps into your own energy and what lights
Mm-hmm.
you up, there's not going to be sustainability. Is that kind of the
I wouldn't
gist
say
of it?
that's true for everybody, because for me personally, I created my company because I am passionate about what I do, and I have a lot of knowledge in the way that I help people, and getting people transformations. Like, it's very important to me, and I love what I do. And there's also people that recognize, I want to be able to open a business, and I might not really love what I do, but it gets people results, and it also feeds my family. And that there's I think there's nuance to that, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, the main thing is like whether you are doing it, because there's nothing wrong with having a business just to be financially free. There's literally no judgment in that at all. And there are a lot of people who are like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just more so the process of that. Like, cuz you can have a business and believe in the product that you're selling, or whatever the case is, may not be in love with it, but maybe doing it for financial freedom, and that's fine. But it's really more of the, how much pressure are you putting on yourself? Can you enjoy the process of learning and growing and getting the revenue back in exchange for that? Um, or is it always feeling like never enough? I'm not enough. It's never enough. I got to keep pushing, hustling, grinding. And then even when I slow down, even when I rest, even when the money's here, I can't chill. I
Hmm.
can't relax. Like, I'm constantly thinking about, like, there's this urgency in the body that's all, like, I can't slow down. And then that's when people are like, get into the place of like hustling nonstop, or they use work as a drug, that kind of thing. Like, I've seen it across the board. I've seen it all. So, but then there's the other people who are like just really, really passionate about what they do and they really want to help people. And yes, the financial exchange is amazing, but they might not be money driven. Like for me, I was never money driven, but I've created a lot of revenue in my company, but it's just because I'm obsessed with helping people. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with either one. There's not a right or a wrong, but
Hmm.
there's nuance there, I think.
Yeah, that's helpful. And what you're talking about there, if it's never enough, if you always have to push, that
Hmm.
sounds incredibly draining.
It
Like
is.
it's just
It
like
is why
you're
most
gonna
people want to
burn
burn their
out.
business down.
Right. Yeah. Even yeah, and maybe that's part of like if there's the internal timer, there's also like if you're putting that pressure on yourself, I don't think you can I don't think you can survive off of that for more than
No,
a few months, maybe a
no.
couple years if you have a really high capacity. Not very long though.
I think that a lot of times too, like when I talk about, especially in my program, Currency Academy, we are living in. We encourage our clients to live in the done moment now. So how if you close your eyes and imagine the goal. Let's just say it's like $100,000 a month, hypothetical, whatever. Just throwing an arbitrary number out there, and it's here. What are you feeling like? Are you feeling relaxed? Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling what are you feeling when the goal is here? And how would you show up in that energy? And a lot of times, what ends up happening is people have these conditional results on their business. It's like when I get the money, then I'll feel good. When I get the attention, then I'll feel successful. Once I get the follows, the likes, then I'll feel confident, right? And it's like we're putting these conditional results. It's like, how can I feel good now and be okay with any result, knowing I can handle any resolution on the other side of that? And then a lot of times, what we found historically is, but if I'm not in the constant pressure, how am I going to move? Like they find the pressure and the urgency is the only motivating factor to get them up to create. And there's a different energy that you can shift into because it's like when you are actually creating from, okay, I kind of vibe with what I'm doing. I'm liking it. Like you create these non-negotiables in your business for marketing, right? Like to me, posting online is as neutral as brushing my teeth. Like I don't overthink it. I literally just do it. And I just do it every day. And I don't think about the only reason I'm brushing my teeth in the morning is so that I don't have to go and get a tooth filled to get a cavity, right? I just do it because it's now just a habit. It's just a neutral habit. And a lot of people are not creating those non-negotiables. So therefore they don't have a foundation of doing that. And yeah, there's a big difference there energetically for sure.
100%. That's a great analogy, honestly. I think if you can take your business to a place where the foundational elements of it,
Hmm.
which, it's like creating content, talking to customers, helping
Yeah.
customers be successful, all that kind of stuff, it just becomes a habit.
Hmm.
And also it's done from a place where it's something you enjoy and you feel energized by it generally. Obviously
Yeah.
there's always
And if you
days
don't
that are
enjoy
off.
it, just either number one, audit where you're not enjoying it, or create something different that you would enjoy, or delegate it if you have the funds to delegate it, outsource it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Well, thanks so much for all of this. This is like
Yeah,
a
of course.
masterclass in how to show up on the internet. I think it's super helpful to people listening. Where can folks go take your quiz, check out
Yes.
your memberships, website, all that stuff?
Yes. You can find my website. We can start there, thejamiec.com. And then you could also go to the Jamie C Show on YouTube. We have beautiful episodes that drop every Wednesday. And that's also on any streaming podcast. And you could also find me on Instagram at Jamie C Official and love to have you there. We have a really, 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 really cool community. The people that are inside my community, they are like the safest, the most empowered. Like you go and even in my paid membership, the broadcast room, like that community is unbelievably supportive. So if you're feeling like you're nervous to get judged or it's not going to happen. Just no way. So, but
Yeah,
thank you
love
so
it.
much for having me and for allowing me to share a little bit more of that process and how awesome that quiz process has been. It's just been so amazing. So
Thank
thank
you for
you.
saying that. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Well, thanks again. Appreciate
I
it.
got it. Thank you.